So I've been using this iPhone 16 Pro for a couple of months now, and I just want to just give a review on this one, like how I feel, how this device feels in terms of the using or the user experience. Now I have like personally moved towards the S25 Ultra because like I like the Android and the One UI 7 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra to be much more better. So that's the reason like I just moved to that one. But yeah, this device is with me like since couple of months now, and I just use this one like on and off, and I'm not so much like peculiar about like using this device constantly. But nevertheless, like I used this device for a couple of months, and then I moved to the S25 Ultra, and I want to just give a review on this one, like whether it's worth it right now in 2025, or you what options you guys would have in terms of if you're just looking for another operating system. So if we talk about the device itself, so obviously the iPhone itself, this one like it's pretty great device, and by the way, I'm just using the ESR hybrid stash 10 case, this one. And if you're just wondering like which one is it, and the feel of this device itself, like I would like to say like it's pretty much nice in terms of the holding. So I will just go ahead and just remove the cover so you guys would have an idea about how this device feels in the hands. So if you go on the back, so once I was just buying the iPhone 16 Pro, so I just went with the titanium white, but later on just changed my plan to just move towards the titanium, natural titanium, and I can watch on that like this color is really beautiful and very elegant in my opinion, this color. And I think that Samsung could have just created a similar color to this one. It's like pretty nice. I didn't have the iPhone 15 Pro, so I just went with the color on the iPhone 16 Pro, and this was like my favorite color. I was just confused between the titanium white and the natural titanium, but later on I just went with the natural titanium, being having a really natural look to it, that I can say on that one. Like I went with the iPhone 16 Pro, not the Pro Max. The reason being that like I'm just a very fan of like using like a one-handed device, but the thing is that like obviously this the cutout on the top, like I really don't like on the iPhone 16 Pro itself. If we talk about the design on this one, I mean this has to be reduced because this takes like a chunk of a space. And these are like a few reasons like I just moved to the S25 Ultra. Nevertheless, like the bezels on this one is pretty cut it down from the last iteration, which was the iPhone 15. So let's talk about the camera setup on the back itself. So it's like a triple camera setup on the back, and you're just getting a 48 megapixel wide, and then there's a 12 megapixel periscope telephoto, which is 5 times optical zoom capable, and then there's 48 megapixel ultra wide. Now this ultra wide lens is like a new to this iteration, and this time like I would just say like if you have a 15 Pro, so you might want to just upgrade to the 16 Pro. The last year the Pro and the Pro Max version, like the 15 Pro and Pro Max version, have a different camera setup. Like there has been a little bit difference, but this time like the Apple has given like the same camera setup on the Pro Max and the Pro itself, which is a good thing. On the front you get to see the 12 megapixel camera, and obviously the cameras on this one, like I would just say like these are pretty nice. I can just say that like I'm using like the S25 Ultra side by side. I can just say like the camera on the iPhone 16 Pro are much more better. Might be due to the reason that the Samsung needs to just introduce some software upgrades on the camera module of the S25 Ultra, because the night pictures on the S25 Ultra, like I would like to say like those are pretty grainy. That struggles to just get the focus in the dark settings or in the new settings, which is like quite a bummer because that's quite expensive and a new phone. And I'm not sure like why Samsung haven't released the software update for the camera module up till now. But for the primary camera device, I mostly like to use the iPhone 16 Pro. Like once I'm just taking pictures or anything, I find this one to be much more nicer. For the iPhone 16 Pro, that the camera are much more nice. Now if you go towards the side, so you see these rounded corners which have been a little bit more rounded than the last year, and I feel like this has added pretty much good in terms of the holding device. And if you talk about on the side, so now the finish on this one is pretty much toned down and smooth out. You don't get that natural titanium feel that you get. Like it's pretty smooth, like to touch. It's pretty nice. It's not slippery. The grip on this one is much more better on the S25 Ultra. I would like to say that, because that device is pretty much slippery, but this one is pretty nice to hold without the case. Even it's not slippery at all. We get to volume up and down on the side. We get the action button. We can get the SIM card tray on the sides, and we get the two antenna bands. On the top, we get the two antenna bands. I'm really liking the finish itself, like on the side itself. And if we come onto the right, so we have the new camera button, we have the power button, and we have two antenna bands. On the bottom, if we come, so we have the type C charging port, we have the speaker, we have the mic. Now the speakers on this device, like, it's one of the bestest, I would just say. And I can say, like, it competes with the S25 Ultra pretty much nicely. It has more depth. S25 Ultra has a much more louder speakers. I really like these speakers on the S25 Ultra. Those gets pretty loud. And the speaker on this device itself is like pretty nice, I would just say. On the front, if we talk about, so we get the 12 megapixel camera integrated into the Face ID island. And obviously we have the greatest chip, the 18 Pro on this one, which is nothing to complain. Like it is a great chip. Obviously, like once you're just rendering down the video, so I would just say, like, it gets slightly warmed up, or you can say hot, but it doesn't crash the app. And we get the that one tied up with the Apple GPU, which is a 6-core graphics on this one. And obviously the front screen itself is a 6.3 inches, which is 90.1% screen to body ratio. You get 1206 by 2622 pixels, which is like a 460 ppi density. So Apple have like maintained that 460 ppi throughout the line of like iPhone 16 Pro Max even. And this time you're just getting a better screen on the top, which Apple claims as a ceramic shield glass, which is much more stronger. And obviously this supports the always on display. Now regarding the iOS, so this one is running the iOS 18.3.1 right now. I can just show you guys that one too in the software. Yeah, so here is the iOS 18.3.1, which is the latest update, I would just say, for the iOS. Now one more thing I really like about the Apple, like, they're just pretty fast enough to just roll out the updates even on the older devices, which is like pretty great. This time I'm just noticing like the Samsung is not that great in terms of rolling out the updates on its new devices. Like, it has been complained on the many forums that the camera on the S25 Ultra is just struggling in the night. It has some issues, but with regard to the updates, I would just say this one is a great device. Now if we compare, if you don't compare and just consider this one as a solo device, so I would just say the battery on this one is pretty nice. It just lasts me a whole day. It's pretty decent. I'm not sure like how Apple is just getting this battery life, like a whole day battery life with a smaller battery. Obviously it has the smaller screen itself, but the thing is that like the 18 Pro chip is pretty efficient, I would just say, in that regard. And if we talk about the battery size on this one, so that's a 3582 mAh, which is not that big. And I would just assume like in the iPhone 17 there has to be some changes needs to be made, like other devices like a OnePlus, or you can say, yeah, OnePlus 13, like, it's using the silicon carbon battery on that one, which just makes the battery thinner, and you can just make it more capacity out of it. So in that regard, I would just say like Apple and Samsung should follow that thing. That's quite innovative, I would just say, in terms of you can just get more juice and make the device slimmer as well. Now the device itself, if we talk about, so it's pretty much nice to hold in the hands. The smoothness on this device is pretty nice. I would just say you can just play any game on this one, like you wouldn't have any issue if you're just considering this one as a gaming device. I've done the gaming on this one and it feels pretty nice. It's very comfortable device to hold because of these side corners, which have been just tuned down and made a little bit much more rounder. But the thing is that, like, obviously, like, if you talk about, so this just interacts with the screen in terms of like you get a less real estate display on the iPhone 16 Pro as well. And the screen itself is pretty, I mean, it's very nice screen, but it feels pretty much smaller in terms of, because of this side corners that have been so much like made it rounded. And obviously this bigger island face ID, I would just say like always say like this feels much more bigger on the smaller screen rather than the Pro Max. If you're just having a Pro Max, so that's not that much of an issue because that already has a bigger screen on that one. And but yeah, I wanted to just get a one-handed use device, so I just opted for this one. And then now I'm just moved towards the S25 Ultra with the bigger screen. So one thing I would just like to talk about the camera button itself. Now this camera button has been pretty much useful in terms of the launching of the camera. Now if you talk about, so the zoom in and zoom out is pretty smooth, and I would say like the Apple have just improved this camera button and optimized this one via software upgrades. Like once it's been launched, at the time of launch it was not that much great, but now it has been like pretty much like seamless usage you can get out of it. And I would just say like this button is pretty much useful. I wouldn't say like this is the this should be the reason of upgrade from iPhone 15 Pro Max to the 16 Pro Max, because this time I would just say like Apple and Samsung, like they have both plays pretty safe. They have just introduced the 48 megapixel camera. They have just little bit bigger screen you get on the iPhone 16 Pro. You get this new camera, but then you get a new chip. And the screen itself, you cannot tell side by side like if there is any sort of difference if you're just using the device solely without just comparing side by side with the other device. Even if you just compare side by side, it's very hard to find the difference on the screen itself. Now the wireless charging on this one is like a 25-volt charging. I find this one to be pretty slow in regards to the even it has the wired charging. I find it pretty much slow on the iPhone 16 Pro. It has to be improved somehow, and I think it's. I would just say like it should compete with the like Chinese manufacturers who are just having so much better battery experience in terms of even the camera. I would just say so much better on the Chinese phones. The OnePlus 13, I would just say like it has just improved a lot, and that makes much more sense like upgrading to that device from OnePlus 12 because the price point is pretty much excellent on this on the device itself. Like that competes with the flagship devices, and it has all the bells and whistles. I would just say I've used that device, and that's really nice to use that device itself. You get all the things. The battery life has been great. In the software department, if we compare this one, it's quite subjective like what you want from it. Like if you're kind of an Android person, so I would just say you have a many options in the lineup that you can just go through flagships. Like you can get the OnePlus 13, you can get the Huawei phone, or you can just get the Samsung latest greatest S25 Ultra. But on the iOS side, obviously you have the options, but the user experience, you're just getting pretty much similar with all of the devices itself. So if you talk about the OnePlus 13, so they have their Oxygen, which they have just optimized in their own way. If you go towards the Samsung, so you get the One UI 7, which has been great. I would just say like that's one of the bestest Android experience you can get through from the device itself. You have the foldables also. You get the Z Fold 6. You get the other full lineup from like a Google. You can get from OnePlus. They have their own, and like you get so many options. You have so much to choose from that sometimes it becomes difficult, or sometimes it becomes easy for to make the decision because you have so much. Like you can just buy what you want. Like if you're looking for a better price point on a flagship device, OnePlus 13 is a great device that can compete easily with the S25 Ultra. I've just made the video out of it as well about the speed test comparison between the S25 Ultra and the OnePlus 13, and I've also made the OnePlus 13 and the iPhone 16 Pro. You can just go ahead and just watch that one. And so yeah, with regards to that one, I would just say like Apple need to improve its software. It might be like good for a person who is just logged into the Apple ecosystem, but for me, like I have just the iPhone 16 Pro and that's it, and I don't have any sort of other Apple product. And for that one, like I would just say like the multitasking on this device is like I don't like. I mean, there's no multitasking. You cannot just open a split screen on this one. You cannot just open a pop-up window on this one. However, the screen itself is pretty much nice, but I'm not sure like how to just comprehend this thing like 18 Pro, like how you can just make the best use out of that chip when you don't have the multitasking. Obviously the gaming, obviously that chip helps out in that one. Like it's a pretty great chip, I would just say. and I would just say like it's one of the bestest in the market right now that the Apple has to offer, and it just competes with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is the newest chip from the Qualcomm itself. Some games over here, maybe we can play the Diablo over here, and we just see how this one performs. So you guys have an idea, like the gaming on this device is pretty nice. If you're just getting, obviously if you want a bigger screen, so I would just say to get the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and that would be better in terms of the gameplay. This is pretty small screen for the game, but yeah, it's pretty handy, I would just say. But the speakers on this one are pretty great. Just have a listen. So the bass that you get out of the speakers are like pretty nice, I would just say. Alright. So yeah, so gameplay like it's pretty fun to play on this device. Like it's seamless. Now one thing I really like about the Apple itself, like the device itself, or you can see the application on the device itself, like are always being like optimized to their fullest, I would just say. Like even the games, even like if you see like any sort of apps, because the developers like have so much limited devices of the iOS to just optimize the apps on the device itself. Like I would find like they do it better on for the iPhones than the Android devices. I'm not saying like the Android is not that great in terms of the app optimization. Like it has been great app optimizations on the Android devices as well. But let's say, for example, if you talk about the foldables, which have like a weird aspect ratio, like the Z Fold 6, I would just say I don't like the app optimization on the device itself. Like it just leaves up and down like on the screen like to be black, and that doesn't feel pretty nice to watch. And that's like a front screen is like pretty much smaller already, and once you get to see the what you call the smaller screen app on that one, so that feels pretty much like annoying. Like you cannot use the full out of it. I think Samsung needs to do something about the aspect ratio on the foldable lineups to just meet the market needs. Obviously the inner screen is different experience on that one, but if we compare those devices with the Apple 16 Pro in terms of the apps, so I would just say like the Apple is like one of the best in terms of the app optimizations. And if you want the best of the best, so yeah, from the Androids, I would just say like the S25 Ultra would be the best option right now in the market to just get the better flagship experience with all of the bells and whistles that you can get on the device itself. Now the question arises like whether you should upgrade to this device itself. If you have the iPhone 14 Pro, I would still say yes, you can go ahead and just update to this device, because the battery life on this device is so much better than the 14 Pro and the 13 Pro. If you're looking to update from the 15 Pro, then I would just say, unless you want the best of the best in the market, so I would just say only then you can just buy this device itself. I mean, the camera button itself doesn't make sense, because there are other ways that you can launch the camera. You can just tie up to the action button as well. And if you're just solely buying this device for that purpose, so obviously it will be just a big no. But if you want best of the best, so obviously that's the best that Apple has to offer right now in the market right now. And like this device, like I would just say it's like worth it with terms too, because the experience that you're getting out of it, if you're a Apple guy, so I would just say like this is the best of the best that you can get in the market right now with terms of the experience. With regards to the AI, I would just say the AI I didn't like so much on this device itself. The reason being that like the AI once I use on the S25 Ultra, so they have just upped their game so much than what the Apple has to offer right now with the AI. So like I would just say the AI on the Apple is like just a beginner sort of. but the on the S25 Ultra, it has been just like the object eraser on that one, like it's like out of the world. Like this, let's just replace the object itself with and blend that picture like naturally. It doesn't feel like it has been AI generated at all. So with regards to that one, just I would just say Apple needs to work on to its AI. And like the iPhone 16 Pro has been primarily being launched with the saying that AI is the main feature this time, but it's still like Apple like just struggling with the AI itself. It has gotten better. Apple launched the AI pretty much late on this device itself, which is like kind of a bummer, I would just say. But nevertheless, like the AI needs to be worked on to this device from the Apple itself. And like if you're just considering the devices like which other than the Apple, so there are a couple of options. I would just say the OnePlus 13 is the best, I would just say, right now in the market. With regards to the price point, I would just say if I wouldn't have gotten the S25 Ultra, I would just definitely gotten the OnePlus 13 right now. If I want to just get a best Android device, I would just say that's, you can say, like the second best device that you can get in the Android system, or you can say the first best choice you can get with regards to the price point, the OnePlus 13. And if you just have the iOS, so obviously you have the couple of options. You can just go ahead and just get this device if you were logged into the Apple ecosystem. So it depends upon you guys, like what you need from the device itself. Like the both systems has to offer different things. The cameras and the video, I would just say like Apple is the best right now. Once I just compare with the S25 Ultra in terms of the night photography, I find that one to be much grainier, so I use mostly the iPhone 16 Pro for that. Maybe once the Samsung launches the update for the camera module, so then it would just make sense for that one. But nevertheless, like right now, I would just say like Apple is like the bestest right now in terms of the North American market, because these are like the biggest players. I would just say like OnePlus 13, Samsung, and Apple being the biggest biggest players of the in the market itself. So yeah, just let me know like which device would you choose. And so yeah, that's all for today. If you guys have any questions, you can just let me know down in the comments. And please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching again. Have a good day. Bye.